So, lad, what are we watching today?
The Snyder Cut. It's
Woo!
time finally.
Thousands of years ago, they were Apollo, Zeus, Ares. Now they are Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and the other heroes and villains of DC and Marvel Comics. Join us every week as we discuss the legendary stories, characters, concepts, and other parts of comics as we examine the modern pantheon of heroes. Let's get heroic. Welcome to Under Two Capes, the podcast for the comic book fan. Welcome to Under Two Capes. I am Jared.
I'm Juan.
And we got a very important episode, very important episode for you all this week. We're talking about the Snyder Cut. So the first part of this is going to be as non-spoilery as we can make it, and then probably the second half to like 2/3, depending on how much, depending on how frustrated we get trying to make this sound not spoilery, will be the full-on unleash hell. So spoilers, you have been warned. The title of this will have spoiler in the title. I don't want anyone putting in the comments later that I spoiled the movie. You were warned. All right, so we're gonna start off. I mean, I don't know about you, lad, but I thought it was the greatest superhero movie of all time.
Oh, really?
Oh my gosh. What about you?
I thought it was really good. I think it definitely ranks very high up with the rest of DC movies, and actually has competitive footing with the Marvel movies as well. I do enjoy Marvel movies, but yeah, it was really great.
Yeah, I was talking to Lab before we started recording. I think that this is the best DC movie they have ever done, and that's including the animated movies.
Is that including Birds of Prey?
Oh, hell yes. Birds of Prey was the... I almost cursed there because I was going to say a word to describe Birds of Prey, but I'm not going to do that. That's the only rule in this podcast. We don't curse. But Birds of Prey does not even belong in the same dung heap as that.
Man.
But jeez. First off, this movie can basically be summarized as stuff gets explained that should have been explained.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, what the? Oh, you notice there was none of that. This may be a spoiler, but whatever. There's no of Steppenwolf saying "mom" for some reason.
Yeah.
None of that. Because I was
Martha.
We'll reveal a little interesting Martha story later. But anyway, all right. So I felt, so first off, it did not feel 4 hours. And if anything, it felt like maybe 2.5 to 3. It felt like Endgame's length, at least there.
Yeah.
It's like we're like part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. It's like we're already halfway done.
Yeah, that was, it went through it.
But it wasn't like the pacing was really good to the point where it didn't feel too fast, but also didn't feel too slow, because that was the danger with making it 4 hours.
Right.
At least that since it's 4 hours, it gave Zack Snyder room to develop these characters. Once again, that was a big critique that a lot of people had with Justice League, the original one, because they introduced all these characters, but never gave them any character development. It's like Aquaman, Cyborg the most, Flash.
Yeah.
All right, so lad, give me your thoughts. The people have heard me. Let's hear you.
Yeah, so a bit more of like a casual perspective, or it was really good in the fact that it explained what was happening, and you didn't need a lot of prior knowledge, but it still went in depth in like complicated, lore of DC universe. But this not just the 4 hour runtime, but also the way it was handled with Zack Snyder, they fleshed out so many characters so I cared about them, and then also fleshed out stories and explained things that they didn't really do in the original cut of the film. The original cut of the film left me with so many questions and stuff that just didn't make any sense about how, like, this happened or how that happened. But this movie really goes about good planning everything, keeping all the storylines well balanced, and then finishing off with a good ending.
Oh, yes, exactly. Oh my gosh. You know what? Screw it. We're gonna go spoiler now because I don't know how to talk about this movie without giving out stuff. So actually, you know what?
So
We've done that. We've done that. So now from on out is spoilers. So if you want to watch the movie and then come back to this, you're more than welcome to. We just gave you as much warning as we could. Okay, so let's get into this. So now, as we know, it starts off showing Superman getting killed by Doomsday, which and it shows like what was happening at that time with him screaming it, and then you see like all of the boxes activating. It's just like his scream because remember later in the movie, Steppenwolf goes, "No protectors here, no lanterns, no Kryptonian." In other words, they didn't want to come here because Superman's here.
Right.
But and then it proceeds. So it shows a lot more of. First off, it shows Bruce Wayne more of his travels trying to find Aquaman, because there's a big I think a minute to 2 minute sequence of him riding a horse through the tundra, which is pretty cool. Bat horse. There actually is a bat horse, I think. But it shows him. It shows him going to that fishing village. And if you guys have seen the theatrical cut of Justice League, it's kind of like that, except that they add a little more of it, like Bruce Wayne speaking, I guess Nordic. But the one thing that I didn't, that I can't believe was a Whedon thing that I wish was a Snyder thing, is when Aquaman goes, "I hear you can talk to fish." I'm like, that's something Batman would say.
Right. Yeah.
But so, and then it goes, and then basically, kind of the conversation it's similar to the original movie, in which but Batman says, "Hey, I'm trying to recruit this team. We'd love to have you on there." And Aquaman says no and swims off. But then we have this really long scene of like some people singing.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, oh, okay, I get that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So what'd you think of that part, lad?
That was pretty good. I like the, like all that introduction part where we saw the boxes activating, where kind of everyone was throughout the different scenes, and seeing Lex Luthor also, that deleted scene kind of added back in, from BVS, but not here. And then, seeing, beginning of Batman traveling around to recruit the members and, trying to get Aquaman on the team. It was a good intro.
Yeah. So then we go to I believe that's all that's in part one. Then we I maybe forgetting some stuff, but yeah. So we get to part two, which actually wait, I think part one. Okay. So anyway, so in part two, I mean. Okay, so Steppenwolf shows up in Themyscira, which, first off, his appearance is vastly improved.
Yes.
Like, he didn't look like a bad guy in the previous movie. He looked way better now, particularly with the spiky armor.
The spiky armor was pretty cool. It was interesting to look at, but I think I realized what the biggest thing for me I didn't like about him, was his face was really weird. It was like kind of like very textured, like almost like a real person, but like more detailed. But it wasn't just the face. The key thing was the eyes. We'll have to show up pictures eventually of this, but like his eyes in the original one are so like small and detailed. It looks like some like, I don't know, like intellectual, like, criminal, or like,
he doesn't look like an evil alien from another universe, right?
Right. What they did with this is not only did they make it larger, but they actually made them a little bit oversized. And I think that actually helped it, kind of like you kind of saw his face a bit more and noticed his eyes. I think it actually made him seem a lot like more menacing, but also
Mhm.
in some parts of the film, I actually made me feel like kind of sad for him because
Mhm.
he has that whole thing where he's banished from Apocalypse and he's trying to get back, and that's his objective. And sometimes you would see his face and then his his big eyes. I kind of actually felt sorry for him
A little
sometimes.
bit. I liked how the horns were not a helmet; they were actually part of his head. Because in the original one, it was a helmet.
Right. Yeah.
It's like that's dumb to have it be a helmet. There's like the one thought that was going through my mind all 4 hours watching this was, and they took that out. Like that kept going in my mind. I was like, why would you take this out?
Right.
So anyway, so our boy Wolfie shows up on Themyscira and like wrecks the Amazons, which I liked, but I thought it was hilarious, by the way, how there's like always a battalion of guards there, just with arrows just standing there.
Yeah, like have they been standing there for like thousands of years? Like,
Yeah. I also liked how they expanded upon the whole sealing off that little cave. Where not because in Justice League the original, they just showed the Amazon dropping those gates. They didn't show it falling into the ocean.
right.
And then it's like Hippolyta is looking down. All of a sudden, Steppenwolf just flies up.
Yeah.
And I remember I actually yelled, "He's Hulk jumping!"
Right. Yeah, I remember that. Oh boy.
It pretty much kind of went it was pretty standard in terms of similarity to the previous movie. One of the differences is because we got more of a shot of Amazons riding horses, shooting bows, which I liked. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was cool.
She fires that really long arrow to alert Wonder Woman. It's the arrow of Artemis. We finally got an explanation into that.
Mhm.
And so it alerts Diana. She goes to, I think it was Greece. Yeah, it was Athens, Greece. Sees the arrow, goes into this cave, Tomb Raider style. So Lad and I are like, wait a second, is she Lara Croft this entire time?
Yeah, secretly.
So we get there. So and then she sees a mural of Darkseid, and she's like, oh, that's what's happening.
And it's like, oh, that's going on my wall.
Yeah, that would look pretty dope in my man cave.
Yeah, you need to get. I bet that they need to print that out, and
right behind my chair right here.
Oh, that'd be actually kind of scary.
That would be actually kind of cool. So she goes back to Bruce and says, "Hey, this stuff is coming." They expand more on the troop carrier that Bruce is building, like that it won't fly because of some kind of software glitch or something like that.
Yeah.
So then we go into a more expanded version of the history lesson scene, which includes close-up shots of the gods, the Green Lantern, who I don't know his name, but
some monkey dude.
Cool. Monkey dude, yeah, monkey dog like thing. So anyway. I liked how we got a little more shots of the Green Lanterns. We saw the gods in action, like actually in action, as opposed to just they're there.
Right.
And I liked how first off it was Darkseid instead of Steppenwolf invading. So I'm like, wait a second. So that was the other problem I had with Justice League the original, because they made it like Steppenwolf was the main bad guy, and I'm like. Even though he says for Darkseid once in the movie, I'm like, wait a second, you're not the Conqueror. The other guy is.
Right.
And then it basically shows all of the different races teaming up. And then at the end of it, they show actually, first, what's hilarious is that so this movie's rated R, and you can immediately see it in the way that like Ares hits Darkseid with an axe, and he starts like bleeding and gushing out, and then it's also like showing the scene how Darkseid like cuts off the hand of that Green Lantern. Yep, Lad may be freezing. Lad's freezing.
Oh, all right, am I still frozen?
There you go. You're good. All right.
Yeah. So like I was saying. Oh, I was gonna say from that part right there where they like attack him. I think it was the god that attacked him, and it's like
Ares.
Darkseid should have said you should have gone
for the head. I thought it was hilarious where after he kills the Green Lantern, the ring takes off and like hovers there, and Darkseid goes to grab it.
Yeah.
It just shoots up.
So that guy, there are a couple of gods that they showed there, but the one doing like all that lightning stuff, right, with big
That's
ears and
Zeus.
everything. Is that supposed to be Zeus then, or?
That's Wonder Woman's father. That's Zeus.
Okay, and they showed. I know they were showing Ares. Is that just the guy that was wearing like the big helmet that looks like Ares?
Yeah, the one with the axe.
Okay, got it. Yeah, looked like it wasn't the same actor, right? As
No, it
the
wasn't.
dude with the mustache and the other thing. But I mean, I guess he's thousands of years old or something like that. So
Yeah, he's younger back then. So,
Mhm.
and then they also showed Artemis. She's the one with the bow.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, I didn't even realize that was
That's
what
why
they
it's
were
the bow
doing
of
then.
Artemis.
I see. Why did some of them have like glowy arms?
That's to symbolize who the gods are. Because you
Oh,
notice
okay,
all the
got
gods had glowy arms.
it. Glowy arms. Okay, got it.
So Steppenwolf Wonder Woman goes through the whole history lesson scene, which I think is was way better than it was in the original Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also going back before we do the whole scene, we get a longer version of the scene where like the terrorists take over that that like I think it was a bank or something like that, and then Wonder Woman shows up and saves everyone. It's like you show a little more of her fighting and then a little more of her speed. It's like she's moving people out of the way. She's like putting her arm out to block a bullet.
Yeah.
I also liked how they put a little more of vocals into her theme. They made it more like Greek myth.
Yeah.
So like, okay, that works. I love that. And then it's like she kneels down in front of this little girl. The little girl goes, "Can I be like you?" And then she goes, "You can be whatever you want to be." And I was like, for a second there, I thought that Zack Snyder was gonna have her hold her hand out and go, "I'm Donna Troy." I'd be like,
Right.
"Oh, come on, that's a missed opportunity, dude."
Oh boy.
All right, so anyway, so you had that. It was way better. You showed more of her strength and more of her speed. Because Wonder Woman is about as fast as Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's see what else. I'm looking at the summary of the movie on here to make sure that I'm covering all the points. So they decide. So let's see. So Barry Jones, I'm gonna finish.
I guess I mean I think it was around that point when they started looking for Barry Allen. Then
yeah, at that point, Bruce and Diana split up to go after Cyborg and Flash. Diana goes and recruits Cyborg. It plays off kind of similar to the way it was in the original movie, in that in the original movie, Cyborg was just there in a hoodie, and the other one he just flew in, which looked way better. But right, first off, Cyborg has like a metal a face shield that comes up when he flies. And also, he got a pretty cool scene when when he was listening to the father's recording, and it was like showing everything he can do.
Right. Yeah, that was good.
It's like how he puts all that money in that woman's account, how he like moves the nukes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was cool.
So
it wasn't
cool.
just like, he has this robotic, physical strength and a cool weapon. He also has like all this digital side, like control of digital objects, and that was good.
The digital part, that I think was a way to justify why he's hanging out with people that have the powers of gods. Because it's like, he could destroy the world if he wanted to.
Yeah, basically.
We also got a lot of his origin, like we saw the football game, the car accident, and then we saw from another perspective the mother box transforming him into Cyborg. Because we saw a little bit of that in BVS when Wonder Woman is on the laptop and she's looking at the videos, the surveillance video, and it shows like the Cyborg being changed. And so let's see. So what do you think, lad, of Cyborg's origin?
Yeah, I think they really fleshed out more. Like I felt like he was very kind of bland in the original one, but now like I actually kind of care about him, and he was actually pretty interesting. I really liked his character arc throughout,
me too.
Especially that early parts.
Yeah, and and then we get a little more expansion into the cyborg. Into the Aquaman part. Like he goes to Atlantis. We meet Vulko for the first time, and then Vulko explains where he got the armor and the trident.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's what the way they played it off in the original movie is like he asked Mara to give him the armor because like then I'm gonna need your help with something. All right, Mara does. Apparently, Mara was supposed to have an accent.
Oh, really?
That's why when we were watching the movie, I'm like, does she have an accent?
Oh, that's kind of funny.
I guess the director of Aquaman was like, it was like, nah, I don't want to do an accent because she sounds American in the Aquaman movie.
Yeah, I guess they figured, let's just that we don't want to make everyone have the accent. So
You already have Wonder Woman. And then,
yeah.
right, we also saw Barry Allen doing the whole going through the glass wall to save Iris.
Oh yeah, that whole scene, I can't believe that's criminal. They got rid of that. That was really
Yeah,
good.
where the glass like bubbles and then
Kind of
slowly
bends.
shatters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of like bends like plastic, and then it shatters. You're right. Yeah.
I love where he turns on the balls of his feet and they turn so fast he's like burns away his shoes.
Right. Yeah. That whole scene was really good. That was funny. Yeah.
And then he saves her, but he's kind of being a creep and like caressing her cheek a little bit for a second. I'm like, dude, she's flying through the air. Save her.
Yeah, and he's worried about the hot dog also.
The hot dog, yeah, but he had a reason for that because he saves her, he speeds away, and then he's back in the pet store that he was trying to get a job in, and he's like, see, to make dogs like me, I always have a snack in my pocket.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Then we also saw a scene that was never in the theatrical cut of Steppenwolf interrogating some Atlanteans, and he has this spider robot thing that allows you to see what's in their head.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was weird. I was like, oh, again, why did you take that out? It's criminal that they took all of this stuff out. So then we have the fight to rescue Silas Stone and the other scientists, which is in the Gotham Harbor area. We got a little more of Jim Gordon, but it wasn't really that much. And we got a little more of the scene where the League meets on that rooftop and is telling them, okay, so the scientists were taken here. Let's go. So they roll out. I do like how his Flash is like, are we all going? Because I don't think we're all going to fit in the Batmobile. And then Batman goes, I got a bigger vehicle.
Yeah.
And he shows up they show up underground in the tank thing and in the crawler. And I liked how all of a sudden they have a heavy metal guitar theme that starts playing for the League. And I was like, this is so dope.
Yeah, that was good.
It's like they're more hardcore than the Avengers. But so we have sort of this things play off a lot differently in this scene than they did in the movie. What I mean in the old movie, what I mean by that is that first off, in the theatrical release, Steppenwolf is interrogating Silas, and then Cyborg shoots him with the arm cannon first. In the other thing, it's the father's being tortured by Steppenwolf in this one, and Vic screams no, and then he blasts him with the cannon. And I love how this is after Wonder Woman goes, don't engage alone, we'll do this together. And Cyborg just goes, nope, boom.
Right.
And then Wonder Woman just flies out and starts fighting Steppenwolf. And even Flash is like, guys, this is not going together. And I love that. I love that scene with the parademon shooting him, and he's like, oh, no. And then he just shoves him a little bit, and he goes through the wall.
Right. Yeah, that was good.
That's why in the Iris West scene, he was kind of careful with her when he was moving her out of the car, because that's actual scientifically accurate portrayal of how careful he has to be when he's moving people.
Right, yeah, because like you saw me just like push the parademon and it just like went flying through the wall.
Yeah, like see ya.
Right. I think it's kind of interesting that Flash doesn't really actually do too much physical fighting because he's still very new with like his power. Not new this power, but he's not experienced like combat like everyone else is.
Yeah, it's not like in the Whedon cut where he was like, I've never done battle. I just push some people and walk away.
Yeah.
Like, what? You do battle, dude. Even Snyder, when someone asked him, is that line in your movie? He goes, what the hell are you talking about? Even Snyder was like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
So we have a little more of the fight, and we have, I'm trying to see what else. So we have a better scene of Batman hopping in the Nightcrawler because he jumps in, and instead of saying, sorry guys, I didn't bring a sword, he goes, my turn. I was like, that was so great. Yeah. I love how now we saw those scenes in like the first trailer of Justice League that were cut out for whatever reason. It's like, I always wondered what went on there.
Right.
so we have kind of the scene where the Nightcrawler falls down. Oh, we also have, to my big delight, so we have the scene where Barry Allen pushes Diana's sword to her, but instead of having the scene where he lands on her boobs, he just lands in a wall. So I'm like, that's better.
Okay.
He
Now I
did that. Yeah. That was a Whedon cut.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, he thought that, in fact, the reason why her head's not facing the camera is because Gal Gadot refused to do the scene, so they had to bring in a body double. That's why. So anyway, hang on, lads, the internet is being slow. All right, there you go.
I think I'm back.
All right, so anyway, they improved that scene, and they have this great moment where the fight plays off mostly similar to the way it was in the original, with a little more dialogue. I do like this one scene where Steppenwolf goes to the parademons. She will be mine, and then Wonder Woman's like, "I belong to no one." I was like, "That's so good." And then she does the whole this, and I'm doing the whole gauntlet bashing motion for the audio listeners, because she gets launched, and I love how Vic Stone comes down, and we get the whole "I'll take it from here, Alfred," and then Alfred's like, "Do I know you?" But then all of a sudden you see like other guns pop up on the Nightcrawler, like a minigun.
Yeah.
And then the rocket launcher comes up, and then Steppenwolf fails because I guess he got the information he wanted to. And then you see the water starts coming in, and then there's Aquaman just standing there, and then he's like surfing on the wave.
Right.
I was like, who in their right mind thought we should take that out?
I know.
So then we have the scene where they're all briefed. Cyborg's like, "Hey, I have the mother box. I have the mother box of man." They return to, by the way, so in the Whedon cut, they cut it together to make it look like that big hangar was the Batcave, but it's actually just a Wayne Aerospace hangar. That's why in the Snyder cut, it comes in, you see Wayne Aerospace.
Mm.
So they go to that facility, and they put the mother box on the table. We get Vic Stone basically telling about his whole origin. We get Vic Stone talking about how the Nazis found the box that was given to man. And I love how, by the way, that's one thing we forgot to mention. In the history lesson scene, they show each group has a unique way to like store the box. Like the Amazons burn it. I think metal around it and then put it in the facility. The Atlanteans should just basically, I think, feed it to a Kraken.
Yeah.
And then, man, we're just gonna bury it in the ground.
Yeah, I like that. That was a good strategy.
I'm like, wait, what? That's the best you can do.
Yeah, I mean, it was the last one we found, so I guess it worked.
The box of man.
And also, I was when the Nazis found the that mother box, and they were during World War II. Was that before or after they found the Tesseract? And then that whole thing with Captain America went
Lads
down.
having a convergence.
I'm just asking a legitimate question because
legitimate question. This is DC, not Marvel.
The Nazis, right? The Nazis found the Tesseract during World War II, and that whole thing went down, right, with Johann Schmidt, right? So, is this before or after that, or do the Nazis go looking for lots of fictional artifacts?
Lad, jeez. All right. So going back to what I was saying.
Was this before also when Bumblebee was fighting the Nazis in World War II, like we saw in Transformers? What was it? The fifth one.
Jeez. I just call it the fifth one. All right, back to the Snyder Cut, because that's the purpose of this conversation. They show about. They give a little more explanation as to why this box can revive Superman. Like it basically it does something with particles. I think Lad can explain that better. He's the scientist. And then it's like they're like, okay, so we can rebuild the thing. And then I love how Barry Allen's like, I know we're all thinking it. I'm not gonna be the first one to say it. Who wants to say it? And then Cyborg just puts a hologram of Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the scene that was my second favorite moment of the night. So Martha Kent goes and visits Lois Lane. Lad knows the scene I'm getting to.
Yeah.
And then they have a conversation and everything that Martha Kent is talking about. Okay, so you've been like a hermit basically this entire time, because what we see is that every day Lois Lane goes in front of the memorial to Superman. By the way, the cop in that meets Lois that she brings coffee to, that's the original Jimmy Olsen. From the I think the Chris Reeves Superman movie. But anyway,
wow.
So the point is, so then Martha Kent leaves. Then something happens. Her eyes start to glow red, and this is the moment where I start hearing Lad go, "No way, no way, no way!" And then it's like it's Martian freaking Manhunter.
Right. Yeah.
Lad, what was going through your mind at that part?
I didn't see that coming. I was actually. I mean, I know that you had mentioned that he was. They were thinking about making it that it was that general guy with Martian Manhunter, but I didn't know they were gonna actually put it in this film. And then it just like all of a sudden I was like, wait a second, what's with the red eyes? And then it's like it's Martha's evil. And
but what's interesting is that first off he looks great.
Yeah, that looks good. The CGI on that.
And yeah, it was Swanwick the entire time. And I get the feeling maybe Superman knew in Man of Steel.
Yeah, I wonder. I kind of need to go back and rewatch that now. But I did like that it was, it made sense why he went there to see Lois Lane. Because
you almost said Lewis. You almost said Lewis.
I didn't almost. I did. But I almost didn't as well. So the fact that they had some good banter. The general, what do you call it? Swanwick, right?
Swanwick, yeah.
Yeah, General Sonic. He went to go visit. He went to go visit Lois. They had some good banter in like I think it was Man of Steel. They were talking back and forth, so I thought that was kind of cool, like, kind of go back and visit her, encourage her.
And to explain, and it makes sense to be Martian Manhunter playing Martha Kent and knowing this much about Lois Lane, because remember, Manhunter has mind power, so he probably looked into her mind, or he probably read her mind and was able to learn everything about her.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
So then we get the League implementing their plan to revive Superman. So it's kind of cool. Actually, it's a good plan as it turns out. So anyway, we go to the scene that was like Cyborg and Flash exhuming Superman, except the scene's way better because there's less like cheesy banter. And then you also see Aquaman and Wonder Woman bantering because like apparently the Amazons and the Atlanteans went to war against each other at some point. I thought that was kind of cool. It makes you wonder who won. Probably the Amazons. Well, actually, no. Maybe the Atlanteans, because the whole thing is an island surrounded by water.
Right.
So they exhume Superman's body, and they go to the Kryptonian ship. By the way, one of the interesting people who works at the Kryptonian ship is Dr. Ryan Cho. He becomes the Atom.
Iron Spider. Oh, no.
That's not, no.
That's no.
Convergence!
I think actually the Amadeus Cho, I was just joking.
Amadeus Cho, not right.
But Amadeus Cho is the Iron Spider at one point.
And a horrible version of the Hulk.
Oh, man.
Basically, I'm going to say this one thing about Marvel. Anything all new, all different is basically a bad move.
Whoa.
I'll talk about that on a few future episodes, trust me. By the way, all through March, all the episodes in March are going to be Snyder Cut related episodes, because there's a lot we have to talk about in this movie. It's 4 hours long. We can't do this in one episode.
But Jared, what if I want to talk about something else?
Too bad.
Oh, help me, guys! You're not like
this is not a democracy. Anyway, going back to that. So we have more of let's see what else.
They're setting up their plan to resurrect Superman.
So they go to the Kryptonian ship, and what's really cool is first off, when they're in the Kryptonian ship, as they're walking down the hallways, and Lad pointed this out to me first, the ship starts opening up all the chambers that have all the suits. It's like you see the blue and red one when they're, and I'm like, he's gonna get, because the plan was he was gonna go back to the blue and red, I think in Justice League 3. So let's start the hashtag now. Give us the sequels to the Snyder Cut. We all know that worked the first time. So, in fact, Snyder himself said anything can happen. And there's a rumor, it's just a rumor, that HBO Max wants to do 2 and 3, which is good considering how this movie ends. But anyway, so Lad, is there anything else you want to say about the Snyder Cut before I move on? He's a little frozen. Is there anything else you want to say about the Snyder Cut before I move on?
No, so far, that's pretty good coverage of what I was thinking about it myself.
Yeah. And all in all, so at this point, it's a good idea. So all in all, at this point, so I think we were roughly like 2 hours into the movie at this point, right, Lad?
Yeah.
And I'm like, already, this 2 hours was way better than the 2 hours. Yeah. This 2 hours was way better than the waste that was that movie. So already, it's way better.
Right.
So anyway, so let's see what's next. All right. So they revive Superman, but they do it cooler than they did in the original movie, because at first, Flash is they need. First, when Cyborg plugs into the Kryptonian ship, he gets all this data memory. That'll be important later. And then Flash is like, okay, so I can build up enough charge to turn on the mother box. Originally, that's all that was left to. But now Barry Allen's like, I have to run really fast, and that starts to screw around with time. They started bringing the time travel element in there. So he goes back to the other side of the ship. It's like, okay, I guess it's the right distance. So Cyborg is counting down, and all of a sudden he gets a nightmare visual of like Darkseid coming in. We see Wonder Woman dead, and her body's being burned by the Amazons like a funeral pyre. We see like the Hall of Justice scene, except that there's Superman holding Batman's cowl from the nightmare scene in Batman v Superman.
Nah.
We see Superman in the black suit holding a charred corpse, and we're supposed to assume that's Lois Lane, and Darkseid putting his hand on Superman's shoulder, and you can see Superman succumbing to the anti-life equation. Because again, that's the original plan. So anyway, then we get to, let's see, that was that. Okay. So they do it. So Cyborg has a Kryptonian robot drop the mother box, and Barry runs. And what's cool is that the box makes contact with the water, Kryptonian water. And then as Barry's approaching it, it starts to go back up because remember, time. He activates the box and Superman's revived. And then what they showed that was way better is that in the previous movie, Batman planned on Superman becoming hostile. So he brought Lois Lane. But in this cut, she just happened to be walking, and then she saw Superman like hovering there. I thought was way better.
Yeah, I like that.
Basically, just imagine everything in this movie was way better. So anyway, then we get a lot of the Heroes Park fight. By the way, so it goes pretty much the same kind of. Except they changed kind of the dialogue. Like when Cyborg's arm turns into a cannon, he shoots Superman. In the original cut, he said it was because it was like glitched ever since the interface with the Kryptonian machine. But now they made it so it's like it's a self-defense mechanism because it feels threatened by Superman. So I was like, oh, okay, that's way better dialogue. So anyway, they start the fight. This fight was way more entertaining because first off, they kept the scene. I'm so glad this was a Snyder thing where Barry Allen is running and then Superman just does this. And I'm doing, for the audio listeners, I'm doing the head turn from the movie. And he just has the angry face.
Really
we see
scary.
Barry with that really worried face, and then he just falls. And we notice on the rocks that like have the people's names, and these are the people that died. On there is Ben Parker.
Yeah, I just saw that like yesterday.
I was like, oh, okay, that's good. I like that.
No, Spider-Man.
So they do a little more of the Barry Allen Bruce Wayne fighting, and I like how they put Aquaman more in there to fight Superman. Then I love where Barry Allen is running at Superman. Superman just gets out of the way, and then Superman and then Flash just runs right into Aquaman. They both get knocked over.
That was pretty funny. Yeah, and
then
then when he started facing off against Batman.
Yeah, way better, by the way. I'm so glad he didn't say, "Do you bleed?" Anyway, he visions him. But by the way, there's another thing I forgot to mention because there's so much, and we'll do another episode on this, talk about everything we missed. But it's like Batman's gauntlets. Apparently, Batman made gauntlets that could like block parademon bolts. And I love in that one scene where Diana finds out about him. It's like, okay, so gauntlets that can block energy. Maybe you should invent a magic lasso, but have it be black, of course. I was like, that is so good. You know that was a reference to Batman Begins with the tumbler. Does it come in black? Yeah, and then I liked so anyway. So Batman is blocking Superman's heat mission with the gauntlets. I was like, that is just so cool. And then let's see what else. So Lois Lane shows up and calms Superman, then they leave. And I love how Aquaman and Flash are lying face to face, and Aquaman and Flash is looking at Aquaman with like a scared face. Aquaman just points at him with an angry face.
Yeah.
And then Flash is like, "I am so sorry."
Oh boy,
that was so great. I was like, "This is so awesome." And then so the League goes to the actual Batcave, and I love how Alfred is meeting the League for the team for the first time, and then they start talking about what happened and everything, and then they start formulating their plan to find Steppenwolf. Their whole idea, actually, first, what happens next is that Steppenwolf go boom tube. First off, in the original movie, it just looked like the boom tube landed in the box landed in an empty parking lot, and none of the League members decided, hey, let's go get that box that's supposed to be like the super weapon before it like kills us all. And this one, it's like Cyborg's father grabs the box and runs back into Star Labs. His plan, he puts it in front of this like electromagnetic laser or something like that burns and like super hot, as Lad was apt to inform me, being the scientist that he is.
In scientific terms, really, really freaking hot.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so Steppenwolf shows up and to give a message to Victor on where the other boxes are. Silas turns on the laser, kills himself, but allows it to like etch into the glass the way to find the other boxes. So anyway, that's why they go back to the Batcave. So they go back to the Batcave, track down the box, and head out. Then at this time, you have Superman and Lois Lane going back to the Martha Kent farm. And what's kind of funny is there was a scene where it plays off a little differently than it did in the Whedon cut, because in the Whedon cut, they land, Superman says, "Oh, this is home." And then Lois Lane goes, "You smell good." And then he goes, Did I not before? In the Snyder cut, it's actually Lois Lane going, "You spoke." And he goes, "Did I not before?" I'm like, that's way better dialogue. Yeah. What the heck was Whedon thinking?
No.
This is the guy that directed the first Avengers movie.
And he shouldn't be smelling good. He's been dead for like a year or something, or a couple of
I know. Like, what's with your... That whole movie was about smelling things. I'm like, what? What?
Can smell be a superpower? We need to make a superhero that has a smell power, or like power over scent, maybe. Like enhance senses. Yeah, or they can release
Wolverine.
Odors. Wolverine. Yeah, Wolverine. Or maybe they can release odors that can, like, I don't know, control like animal behavior, or like, throw off a trail or something. I don't know.
We're getting too far off topic, lad. But anyway,
all right, focus. Avengers. All right, back on topic.
So they land, and then this is more of Superman reconnecting with who he is. We see a little more of the of the him talking to Lois Lane, like he goes, "I'll take that as a yes." She goes, "What? The ring." First off, no CGI lip. This was mustache-less Henry Cavill. Laz just being a jokester because I know he hated that too because that looked terrible.
That was really bad. It was really bad. And wait a second, I have to ask the question: isn't Superman and Lois, aren't they invading on private property because they no longer own the ranch, Jared?
It's public property at this point that hasn't been sold yet.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Regardless, it's Superman. Do you really think someone's gonna tell him no?
Yeah, I guess not.
All right. So anyway, we get a little more dialogue where he's like, "I have a second chance. I'm not gonna waste it." And then he flies off to the Kryptonian ship. And as he's walking, you hear like Jor-El and Jonathan Kent talking, and you finally hear Jonathan Kent say, "It's time." Because remember, in Man of Steel, he was all about they're not ready for you, Clark.
Right, I remember that.
This whole time, and he's like, it's finally time, Clark. He gets in the black suit, which, by the way, fun fact. So here, Zack Snyder wanted to have a black suit from the beginning, but the studio wouldn't because back in 2017, they wanted their DC film universe to be more up like the Avengers. So they felt black suit was more dark. So what Zack Snyder did to get around this is he filmed using a blue and red suit, like the traditional Superman suit, and then in Photoshop he keyed it so if for some reason they changed their minds about the black suit, he can just hit a switch and it instantly goes to black suit. So that black suit is a whole CGI.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Which it looks amazing for a CGI suit.
Yeah.
So and then by the way, this scene kind of was in. Technically, it was a deleted scene in the Whedon cut, except he got the blue and red suit.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it didn't have Jor-El and Jonathan Kent speaking. It was just him walking aimlessly in a Kryptonian ship. And then actually what's kind of funny is that, so remember, in the Snyder Cut scene, you see the blue and red suit like floating behind him, and then it goes away.
Yeah.
In the Whedon deleted scene, it was the black suit that was floating away.
That's funny, actually.
Yeah, I know. They made a lot of decisions on the Whedon cut where I'm like, why would you do that? That is so stupid. So anyway, so then we get to, we have basically a recreation of the first flight scene from Man of Steel where he takes off. He does a full Christ T pose in front of the sun as he's re-energized, and then he flies back. So anyway, the League hop on the transport which Cyborg enables to fly, and then as they're the Batship, yeah, as they're flying, you could say Batman is Batship crazy, huh?
Oh man.
So anyway, their plan is basically okay. So Cyborg so the whole plan of Steppenwolf is to create what's called the Unity, which is just the 3 boxes coming. But we've got more explanation as to what the Unity was.
Yeah.
So basically, it's essentially, think of it as a terraforming bomb, and then it turns the world it detonates on into apocalypse. So basically, their plan is that a Cyborg is going to hack into the Unity and separate the boxes. But in order to do that, he needs an enormous amount of energy. So Barry's going to run around, is going to basically do the Speed Force time thing again, because that generates like a ridiculous amount of power, and allow him to interface. We can pull it apart. So they go through that whole plan. The ship lands. All the League members hop off. First off, we also have the scene of them gearing up, like Batman throwing Aquaman his trident. That was not in the original cut. And then you see the Flash doing yoga.
Yeah.
So then they land, and then Batman has like a couple more scenes, like flying the Batship. It's called the Flying Fox.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah, I remember that now. That's a good name.
Because I love where he fires one missile, he creates a hole in a dome. But by the way, so whenever Steppenwolf puts in one of the boxes, it creates more of a fortress. And then this one has a red dome, which Lad's like, hey, it's the red sky.
Yeah.
And then Batman punched a hole in the dome, it reseals. So he goes, I'm just going to fire every missile on this thing. And he just bombards it large enough to create a hole that stays open long enough for him to fly through. So he flies through and takes out the tower that generates the barrier. So then he crashes, and then as opposed to the scene where it was like the ship crashing and then the Batmobile jumping out, in this one, so it lands and he tells the people, okay, so you're clear to approach, the barrier's open. So he goes, they're here. The parademons pull down the ramp, and then all of a sudden it's all dark. It's all dark because Batman turned off the lights because he's Batman.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you see the headlights of the Batmobile, and then the miniguns start firing from the Batmobile.
Right.
I was like, this is the coolest thing. This was one of the coolest moments of all time. And then it flies out. And then what I loved about the Justice League Batmobile, and this was present in the Whedon cut as well, was the artillery cannon in the riding seat. So it only drives one person, but it's got a howitzer on the front.
That's a better co-pilot.
Yeah, my co-pilots. It's like those bumper stickers. God is my co-pilot. My cannon is my co-pilot.
Yeah.
So it plays off normally, except Batman is not playing like some weird siren that attracts the parademons, because that made no sense as well. And then
That was kind of weird.
Yeah, I was like, the whole thing about the smelling fear. But by the way, they had a variation of the parademons that was like so cool, where it's like that they have like they look super insect as opposed to more human. I guess that those are more of the aliens that were turned to parademons, which I felt that were really cool. And then next episode we'll incorporate more of a visual element, so I'll put that picture on there. And by apologies for the audio issues, so we're fighting through it. So anyway, so they land, and then they have the scene. They have pretty much the same scene of like Batman making the water tower fall down with the howitzer, and then it's like the parademons get on the Batmobile and start screwing around, taking off artillery cannons. And it looks like Batman's gonna die, and then Wonder Woman shows up in a way cooler way, and that she flies, and then with her shield and sword, she cuts parademons in half, and you can see blood coming out. Obviously, this movie's rated R. And then it's a little more of like you see more. You see more of the League like fighting side by side, and you have this great shot of the Batmobile and the League just in one big like massive shot, and they're like. And then like charging forward, and you see Wonder Woman flying. So actually Snyder was the first one to have Wonder Woman flying. So anyway, so they fight through, and then you have the scene of Aquaman surfing the Batmobile, because why not? And then they have this great scene. So Aquaman jumps up and takes out the parademons, and then he's caught by Cyborg. Now this was one of the things that I was really scared of. I thought the "My Man" line was a Whedon thing and not a Snyder thing. I figured it was more of a Snyder thing. But then immediately when we hear Cyborg go, "You're welcome," and then Aquaman's like, "My man," and I'm like,
yes. Yeah, I was actually really hyped that was still in it, and there was no red sky in this version, so we need to get that into a GIF format.
Also, so another thing I noticed about the Snyder Cut is that everything had more weight. What I mean by that is that Cyborg had more of a clunk every time he took a step. And even Aquaman, when he rode that parademon through a building, it felt more heavy. And the other one, it just felt like it was just going through. The other one, it was more boom, 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 boom.
That's a really good thing to notice. That's kind of cool that you noticed then.
And then we have this awesome scene where Cyborg is flying. He's being chased by parademons. He activates his two cannons, spins, and then destroys some, makes some buildings fall on the parademons.
Yeah, that was good.
Basically, this movie paid more respect to all of these different characters than any past DC movie, probably.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, they go through. They reach Steppenwolf, and then I love how Batman ejects out of the Batmobile, because they added where there are actually like parademon artillery cannons that are firing. Those weren't in the original movie, which I feel like why there's so much stuff that doesn't make sense that they took out. Yeah. Which is why, if you watch BVS, watch the Ultimate Edition. The movie makes no sense otherwise. When Lad and I watched it, we were under a time crunch, so we had to watch the normal version. But luckily, I was there to explain to him everything that was missing, like why Superman didn't see a bomb in a wheelchair.
Because he's dumb.
Because he's Superman. Anyway, So then they have and then one of the artillery cannons hits Batman's Batmobile, and then he ejects, and then there's Lad going, "It's the Bat ejector seat."
He's got everything prepared for.
And then it's like Batman lands, he tosses a grenade at a parademon, and that dies. And then we see that awesome scene from the trailer where Aquaman, and by trailer I mean the very first trailer, where Aquaman is like taking his trident and he spears 2 parademons to the wall.
So violent.
He gets out. They approach Steppenwolf, and I love how Aquaman's like, he bangs his trident on the ground twice and goes, "Hey, remember me?" And then Cyborg, and he goes, and then he turns to Cyborg and he goes, "Round 2," and Cyborg's like, "Hell yeah!" And they go in and start blasting it, and then Wonder Woman lands and goes, "Shall we?" There are like so many shots from the trailer that I remember seeing and going, "I wish this was in the movie." Well, now it is.
Right.
Oh, by the way, it is now the official position of we are going to treat the Snyder Cut as canon.
Yeah,
that is the original. It has to be canon because it does, because the other one did not connect to the previous 2 movies. And by previous 2, I mean Man of Steel and BVS. Actually, 3 movies and Suicide Squad. This one even connected to Suicide Squad. That'll be explained later. But for until it's like impossible, we're just gonna treat the Snyder Cut as the official version. Even though Warner Brothers and Snyder himself told you the Whedon version is canon, we reject that. We reject that. I'm still, by the way, so the day I saw the movie, I deleted off my iTunes account the original Justice League movie. I'm keeping the DVD as an object lesson to my children. I heard this on the internet of good things happen to people who wait.
Yes.
So anyway, the League shows up.
I took Justice League, didn't even take it off my computer. What I did is I actually got my laptop and literally put it on fire and blew up my laptop because I just couldn't stand it being affected by the Whedon cut of that. So I'm glad that was a really smart decision on my part. I think I was really dedicated.
The Snyder Cut, I believe, is going to be on Blu-ray, so you should buy it, lad.
Buy it. Sweet. I should. Well, I'm kind of short on money now that I blew up my laptop.
Yeah. As soon as it arrives on iTunes, I'm putting it on my computer. Because that way I can watch it no matter where I am. Because if I'm on a 4-hour flight, what's a better thing to watch right now?
Can't think of anything quick enough.
All right. So anyway, so they have a pretty awesome fight. Steppenwolf actually taunts Wonder Woman. By the way, I missed one other vital point I have to get back. They brought in the freaking anti-life equation. That was not mentioned once in the original movie. Even Lad was like, "Oh my gosh, they brought that in."
Yeah, because I've heard that before, in the JL series and such.
So for those of you that don't know, the anti-life equation is like, and I think it's like a symbol or something like that unlocks this power to control all minds. They even explained what the anti-life equation was in the movie, which I was very impressed. I thought that they were just going to name drop it, but no, they explained it like allows you to control everyone in the multiverse.
Yes.
So I'm like, even Steppenwolf knows that there's a multiverse. So this also cements in DCEU canon that Snyder understands that Apocalypse exists outside of the multiverse.
Yeah, they were very clear about that. Whenever they talked about Apocalypse, like when Wonder Woman was explained that the enemies from somewhere else, they didn't say from another world. They said from another universe. So they made it very clear.
In the Whedon cut, they said other world.
Right. So that was pretty cool that they actually, they did respect that. This is like, there's other, other universes and such, and he's like, an other, extra dimensional threat.
Okay, so yeah, it definitely felt. I know Snyder gets a lot of heat from DC fans for his portrayal of the characters, but I really feel like he gets these characters. It takes a because what he was showing is the build up toward them becoming the characters we know and love. It's like that's why Superman was kind of dark. That's why Batman is kind of dark. But Batman's dark because he's Batman. But anyway,
yeah.
So there's a scene where so they fight, and I love how Steppenwolf was actually taunting Wonder Woman like, "You couldn't save your sisters. If you were there, you would have been able to save them." And anyway, so they have the fight. It looks vaguely similar to to the original Justice League movie. By the way, Steppenwolf's eyes at this point are glowing blue, so it looks really eerie.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're fighting. And by the way, the CGI in this fight scene is like the best. You know why Steppenwolf and Darkseid look good, by the way, lad? I learned this. They were done by the same visual effects company that did Thanos.
Oh, really?
That's why it looks so good. Yeah, it's called... It's WETA Digital.
Weta Digital or something like that?
Yeah, they do a lot of the really, like, all the movies that you've probably seen, all the sci-fi movies you've seen, like, that have, like, really amazing VFX. Chances are it's been them.
I see, yeah.
Case in point, Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they did the CGI for that final battle scene for Endgame where everyone clashes.
Right, yeah. I remember seeing behind the scenes where it's just kind of like some green rocks and background that people kind of like casually run.
That entire environment is CGI. You'd
That's
never know.
What even is reality at this point? Where everything is going to be like
so good.
They're not even need actors anymore. They're just going to have like everything's going to be. They're going to CGI people.
But it's like, even when I was looking at Darkseid, there are some times where I look at a CGI character and it's like, it looks cartoony. Like, I mean, I kind of felt with Thanos, you could still tell he was kind of animated. With Steppenwolf and Darkseid, it looked like they could actually be here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how lifelike. It's like they got everything right. The lighting on the face is like Wonder Woman's sword impacted Steppenwolf's axe. You see the lightning coming off of him. Even Darkseid. Yeah. So anyway, they have an awesome fight. And then we're getting to one of the best parts of the movie. So a Flash is doing like a racetrack around the area to build up speed. He's like, hey, I'm in position. And then so Cyborg plugs in, and so he can't defend himself, right? So Steppenwolf shows up, and it looks like he's about to kill Cyborg. Because remember, in the theatrical cut, he tore off Cyborg's leg. So that's what I thought was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So what should happen instead? And this is the part that blew mine and Lad's mind. And we had to watch this scene twice because it was so cool. He lifts the axe up and goes for Darkseid. And as he swings down, Superman super speeds down in front of Victor. And the axe just hits him in the shoulder. And Superman's like, not impressed. And then he like, he frost breaths the axe, like breaks it. And then kicks Steppenwolf against the wall. At this point, Lad and I are losing our minds because this was like
man.
There are a few scenes in the DCEU that were like the greatest scenes that were like amazing scenes. The first fight in Man of Steel, the Wonder Woman entrance in BVS, the Batman warehouse scene in BVS, the No Man's Land scene in Wonder Woman,
the mustache moment of the.
But this freaking takes the cake. This takes the cake.
This was so good. This beat out the mustache moment for me, definitely. But this,
as a Superman fan, let me put it this way: watching this because I have probably watched this scene like 12 times already, and yes, exactly. I all day today I've been putting the scene on repeat.
Okay.
Every time I watch it, I actually get emotional now because I'm like, this is my Superman. It's like, because when for some reason, this scene hits me the hardest. Like, this is my Justice League. Because remember, I mentioned I got into comics from the Justice League cartoon. They were part of my initiation to comics. The first comic I ever read, Justice League. By far, my favorite DC series, Jeff Johns' Justice League. Jeff Johns, Jim Lee. We covered it. Yes, we covered a couple of it on the show. And it's like, just because remember, I mentioned I'm a Marvel fan too. Don't get me wrong. I love Marvel too. I know I can come off as kind of anti-Marvel, but that's just keeping up the rivalry. I'm one of those people that likes both, but I prefer one. But anyway, because once again, I got that feeling when I watched Avengers for the first time. Like, this is them.
Right.
And then it's like, because remember, after walking out of the original Justice League, I felt like those characters were abused and destroyed. We never had a good Justice League movie. And seeing this moment where Superman comes back and like completely annihilates Steppenwolf again, because that was so cool. I love how first off, Steppenwolf gets back after being thrown back. He punches the ground like he's frustrated. He looks up,
Yeah.
and then even in the distance, you can see Superman's eyes turn red, and then they get darker and darker and darker, and they just blast heat vision.
Yeah.
And then he knocks Steppenwolf down, and then Wonder Woman jumps down and does the whole gauntlet thing again. But I love how first off she has that smile that she had in BVS when Doomsday like knocked her away. That improvised smile I told you about.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone's like, okay, we got this now. They're basically playing ping pong with Steppenwolf because she knocks him back with a gauntlet. Aquaman hits him with his trident to the point where it forms an aqua shockwave. By the way, Aquaman is much more powerful in this movie.
Yeah.
Even when they first see Steppenwolf, he hits his trident on the ground. It causes a shockwave, like a water shockwave. So he hits Steppenwolf pretty much like a baseball bat. You can see Steppenwolf. He's like, what?
Yeah.
Aquaman hits him with the trident like a baseball bat, and there's Superman like, oh, I'm coming for you, and he punches him into the wall. So Superman flies up, and then we get that scene from the Whedon cut, except way better, where Superman flies down, punches him, visions him, except he heat visions him so hard that he actually heat visions one of Steppenwolf's horns off.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Like, this is how hardcore this Superman is. And then you see like, okay, so, but remember, and then Barry's still going around and around, but then he's hit by one of those artillery cannons. And
I want to.
Go ahead.
I want to say that part. I want to
Go
say
ahead.
that part. I'd like to give an award to the Employee of the Month of Darkseid's Army.
Oh yeah,
that Parademon with the cannon. Every single other one gets, just beaten up, doesn't do anything.
Actually,
they're just the cannon fodder.
I disagree. Here's why. I'm getting to that part.
Oh, okay.
He didn't kill Barry. He just wounded him.
Okay. He didn't kill Barry, but
if he had
here, he got to hear me out here.
Go ahead.
There was, it was at the moment, they were getting ready. If Flash would be able to run, activate, Victor, and they would have separated, everything would have gone well, and they would have won. But because of Mr. Parademon himself here with their artillery cannon, 287 exactly. He shot Barry in the side and weakened him. He didn't have enough energy in time. They literally, everyone dies. It's the original timeline. Everyone dies and Darkseid wins. Steppenwolf wins. Steppenwolf gets to probably return back home and stuff. Everyone's happy for the bad guys because of Mr. Parademon number 287. He's getting a raise, and it's so cheap that Flash, messes all that up.
So anyway, as Lad alluded, Flash is for some reason unaffected by the explosion that results from the Unity activating. Then he runs back in time. But what's really cool, the way Snyder did it, is that as he's running back in time, by the way, they expanded more on his story earlier in the movie with like his father says, make your own future. So as Barry's running, he's repeating that. And then as he's running, you could see like everything reforming around him. Like the ground is like reforming in front of him. It was a visually gorgeous scene. Oh my gosh. Once again, the visual effects in this movie were amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So then, he manages to go back in time and save Victor. Also, you can also see like Superman being reformed. It's like his suit is coming back on. His skin is going back on his skeleton. Everything's being undone. Oh, by the way, this is also after a boom tube opens, and we see Darkseid, Desaad, who also was talking, and Granny Goodness show up. Granny Goodness is the head of the Furies, and like Darkseid's like main honcho. So anyway, Victor is forced into the Unity now. He has the power. The plan's in motion. And then he sees like the ghost of like his mother, his father, and him. And they're like, oh, you don't have to be alone anymore. And then he's not alone. And then he like tears the back. He and Superman manage to separate the boxes. And then what I love is that Steppenwolf starts like roaring, and then Aquaman stabs him through the chest, lifts him up like he's a shish kebab. Superman flies out, punches Steppenwolf through the portal, but before he gets through the portal, Wonder Woman jumps up and decapitates Steppenwolf. And I love how the head lands right at Darkseid's feet, and Darkseid just steps on it.
That's like really brutal. And I think that I was actually thinking about that moment more, how that's so unlike Wonder Woman to just like murder him, basically. You know, just,
Have you
like,
met Wonder
he-
Woman?
I know.
She is actually the one that's more likely to use to cut someone's head off.
I know in the original, in her first movie, yes, she was very violent. And, you know, in Justice League, she's also pretty violent. But in Wonder Woman 1984, they make a really strong point of her. She doesn't have a sword in the movie because she doesn't want to be hurting
She
people.
still kills people.
She doesn't kill anyone. She never. We'll watch it again. She
I don't
kill
have
anyone.
to save you.
She doesn't. Okay. She doesn't kill anyone. She always, like, you know, when she pushes the bad guys the way, she makes sure that they don't go crashing into a cliff or something. She always, you know, holds them there and, you know, defeats them without killing anyone in that movie because they want to make her show her more hope-ish. And
When
then
she flipped the truck in Egypt, that guy's dead.
No, he was okay. That guy was okay. Remember when she ripped the steering wheel off and she said the brakes still work? They always made a point of her not like straight out killing anyone in the movie.
All right.
And then
remember,
now,
this is before 1984.
No, this is after 1984.
I mean, what I mean is that before, in terms of when this came out.
Right. Yeah. For like when, you know, they originally made her more, you know, serious and violent, but then, you know, her more direction she's going now, they made her a bit more, you know, peaceful, you could say. But yeah, I just thought it was kind of funny how
actually
chronologically for her.
Here's the point. Here's why it works that she's killing in this movie. Because remember, if we're taking it like this is canon going all the way through the DCEU, if we're taking it like all these movies took place into each other. So she lost Steve Trevor twice.
Yeah.
Except in the second time, she had to kill him. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense that she'd be a little peeved because remember, she still said, I turned myself off from humanity for 100 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense kind of when you think about really ultimately everything that went down following that, following Wonder Woman 1.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, let's see. Let's see what else. So what else? Okay, so they beheads Steppenwolf. He goes into through the portal, and then Desaad is like, "I told you he wasn't gonna win." And then Darkseid's like, "Yes, I know you told me. We'll do this the old way. Prepare the Armada." So this is kind of hinting that we're gonna see a Darkseid invasion of Earth in a future movie. Then we have this awesome establishing shot of the League, like everyone's in a pose in front of this like sunlight. Everything's super hopeful, and then the movie ends, and then we go to an epilogue.
A long epilogue.
Yeah, a lot of epilogue. So in the epilogue, Cyborg finally hears a recording from his father before he died that said like, "Hey, you're a fantastic kid. We love you and everything. You can use your powers for good." And then what's interesting, so Aquaman in the Aquaman one, so he returns the armor and trying to Vulko and Mera. Mera's also in this movie, which is fantastic. They gave her an accent, which I like a lot better than her just having an American accent in Aquaman. I think
that doesn't make sense for some reason. Fish people have American accents too.
Anyway, he says something very interesting. He goes, "Okay, I'm going to go see my father." So I'm like, okay, that's how you can take this as canon. Because if you notice in Aquaman, they keep it super vague. Like, so you fought Steppenwolf.
Right.
Hey! That's why I'm taking it as canon. Because they kept it super vague, so I can do that.
Right. Yeah.
Plus, I refuse to acknowledge the Whedon version at all now at this point. Seeing what this is, the Whedon version is dead to me. So then you have you see all of the League are like super happy. They're like, Flash is running. He's super happy. He's actually kind of for a second Naruto running.
Yeah.
And then so it cuts. And then we come to Arkham Asylum, and it's kind of the same scene. It's an expanded version of the scene with Lex Luthor being broken out by Deathstroke. And then what's cool is that they do the scene from the Whedon thing of like Deathstroke coming up on Lex Luthor's yacht, except they do more dialogue in it, where Lex Luthor telling Deathstroke who Batman is, because apparently Batman and Deathstroke have some history, and then this was all going to be explained in the Ben Affleck Batman movie. Which they might still do that. Supposedly HBO Max is interested in doing more Snyderverse stuff, which please do, because this would be so great. And it's basically the formation of the Legion of Doom. And then it cuts. So throughout this entire movie, I know there was supposed to be a nightmare sequence. So I'm like, where's the nightmare sequence? Cuts immediately at the end. It opens up. It's like we see Nightmare Batman with the Scar-L assault rifle, and he's like, he's patrolling, and he's like, clear. And then you see like Aquaman, no, not Aquaman, Mera, Cyborg, the Flash in the armor from BVS that he went back in time to warn Bruce, because remember, that's their plan. And then you also see Deathstroke with a giant machine gun, because that's Deathstroke. And all of a sudden you also have the Joker. So apparently Batman had to team up with Deathstroke and the Joker. So it's like all you hear. So Cyborg is like, we can't be out in the open for long. He'll find us. And even Mera's like, let him find us. I will stab him with this trident for what he did to Arthur. And then Batman and Joker have a conversation that's like the most Easter egg written conversation of all time. It's like Joker's like, why send a boy wonder to do a man's job? And then, as a Batman 66 fan, you should know who he's referring to by Boy Wonder Lad. Because remember, in this universe, the Joker killed Dick Grayson.
That's super dark.
So anyway, they have a whole and then Batman's like, well, do you know what Harley Quinn told me before she died? When she was bleeding out, her last breath was, when you kill him, Batman, make it slow. And then Batman's like, yeah, I will effing kill you. Except he actually drops an F-bomb. And then Superman actually shows up, and you see everyone like gearing up.
Yay, like, Superman!
Like Cyborg. Cyborg has a minigun, and then his other arm, he's holding the ammo for it. I like how they had that detail, as opposed to having just having the machine gun like in Avengers, because that's the one thing. That's one of the problems I have with the MCU. So they have War Machine. Actually, it's Marvel in general, because they always do this. Where does all the ammo come from where War Machine is shooting?
It's in the suit somewhere, you know?
If they could tell me it makes its own ammo, fine. But for the amount of shots it's firing, it would be really heavy and really bulky. I mean, I just want to see like an ammo can maybe strapped to his back. At least give me that. But no, they don't give me anything.
Or like Hawkeye, you know, his quiver. I want to see how many arrows that can actually fit in that thing, right?
Yeah, I know. At least in the Avengers 1, he ran out of arrows, so we had to grab one off a dead body.
Right, yeah.
All right. So anyway, going back to it. So Superman shows up, and then he heat visions Bruce Wayne, and then Bruce Wayne wakes up because it's a nightmare again. And then Bruce Wayne goes to he's in his lake house, so he goes outside and he sees Martian Manhunter there. And Manhunter's like, hey, I want to join your Justice League. I have a stake in this world. It's time I start fighting for it.
And Bruce Wayne's like, bro, where were you like during our last fight? We really could have used some backup. And Martian Manhunter's like, yeah, I completely knew what was going on because I was around, but I was just chilling out watching you guys get killed by Steppenwolf potentially. But yeah.
But so he says, hey, there's a war coming. So he knows Darkseid's coming. And then he says, by the way, I'm also known as the Martian Manhunter. And then he flies off. That's another thing I noticed. They referred to Diana as Wonder Woman for the first time in the DCEU. Because remember, Flash is like, Wonder Woman.
They don't they call her Wonder Woman in her own movie, or?
No, they just call her Diana, or
really?
They never call her even that in 1984.
Wow, I didn't even notice that.
They didn't even call Barry Allen the Flash, because remember, according to canon, because remember, this does exist in the same multiverse as the Grant Gustin Flash show, which I love how they did that. That was the best decision they've ever made, because he shows up. Cool. He shows up in the Flash TV show and he goes, the Flash, like that's a good idea. So
Yeah.
and then we'll learn in the Flash movie that's where he got the idea for the name, and then that's also where he got the idea because he's gonna get like a less armored suit.
Hmm. I want to watch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna right after the podcast. I'm gonna watch that scene again. Actually.
Yeah, me too. Actually, because that was so. I watched that like a lot as prep for the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
And it was so cool is that as our Flash is fading away, he goes, "I told Victor this was possible."
Yep.
So I'm like, "All right, that's cool." So then, that's the end of the Snyder Cut. Lad, thoughts?
Oh man, so pretty long, but really good. It really fleshed out everything. It gave me everything I wanted from like a Justice League movie, kind of like, not just being like an Avengers film, but doing their own thing, showing off the characters, making me care about them, having some interesting references back to previous movies, setting up stuff for the upcoming movies. Yep,
Yeah.
References to the comics.
Yeah,
Darkseid presence in it was really good.
Yeah, this felt like a Justice League movie. Like this is legitimately a Justice League movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt, this is important now, totally different than the Avengers. This is really important.
Yeah, that's a good thing to notice. Yeah.
And there was no like random Russian family at the little Steppenwolf fortress because there was a chemical plant that had a meltdown. There's no reason for them to be there.
But they were living there.
So anyway, yeah, I will say I had high expectations going into this, obviously, because it's the freaking Snyder Cut. We've been waiting for this since it was announced last May. It was last May, right?
Yeah,
I think it was last May. But this thing far exceeded my expectations. Oh, particularly just that Superman scene where he comes down and he goes, "Not impressed."
Yeah, I would have been happy.
That is amazing.
Oh man,
that is the most Superman thing that has happened in this movie world.
Yeah,
he shows up. He just has a smile on his face too. It's like so great. He's like, not impressed.
Yeah, it just, like you said, it's just so good. It really makes. I want a Man of Steel 2. I want that 2 to. I mean, I know it's coming out,
and they're playing the music. On top of that, they're playing the Man of Steel music.
I know.
A variation of it. But the music in this was fantastic, particularly the Wonder Woman theme. Are they bringing more of like the Greek chanting, like the vocal level of it? I loved that.
That was good.
Yeah, the soundtrack is on Spotify. I'm looking at it right now, and it's like I'm trying to find exactly how many tracks it has. It has 54 songs.
Man,
that is long. All done by Junkie XL. But that's another thing I noticed. This is why I'm taking this as canon. And Lads said this when we were watching the movie. This flows remarkably well from BVS into Justice League.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it starts off, you're seeing Superman dying from Doomsday.
Mm-hmm. Really, it really flows well. And I think for the most part, it, there's nothing in it that contradicts any of the future movies or anything. So really, you can interchange with this with the this or the Snot or the Whedon version. So we can just accept this one as the canon version because
that's what the fans have said.
Right, and if they Warner, I mean, what is it? Warner Brothers or whatever, whoever owns them now. You said it was AT&T or something like that. I don't know. Whoever owns Warner Brothers now, there you go. Yeah, they're gonna keep producing, DC related content because Aquaman made over $1 billion and Wonder Woman sells well. Justice League is probably gonna do really well on the streaming service. We're gonna get more superhero movies, more of this. They will eventually have to do a Justice League 2. So
yeah, I feel like it's inevitable.
Previous version or this version?
I feel like I know they're making a Justice League movie called Justice League Rebirth, but I'm one. Let me put it this way: until we get a continuation of the Snyderverse, this is the DCEU Justice League. Because obviously, if we get that, then I'll just shift over to that.
Right.
But yeah, that's the advantage of having these movies be super vague or just reference it once. Also, here's the thing. If they do a part 1 and part 2, you can still consider Shazam in that universe. Here's why. Because at the end of part 3, that's when Superman is supposed to get the blue and red suit. And what color suit did he have in Shazam?
Blue and red.
Based on that. And they never necessarily mentioned Batman being alive, because remember, Batman dies at the end of part 3. That was like the Snyder plan. So it's like there's many ways that you can still consider this canon, because yeah, the future movies don't really contradict this that much.
Yeah. I'm just Snyder has a couple of different ideas of stuff he wants to do. And, I don't know sure if, the movie executives have their ideas, but like, I wanted to see them, now after the success, hopefully, of the, Snyder Cut, for them to go to the writing room and, plan out exactly what they want to give us going forward and get us hyped up about it. We know Aquaman 2 and Wonder Woman 3 probably, right? But like, another Justice League movie, what are they going to, what's the premise going to be? What's it gonna, let's get hyped for this, some stuff going forward.
On top of that, here's the interesting thing. So with the Rotten Tomatoes score, there's a disparity there, because if you notice the old one and the Whedon cut, it was like 42, I think, on the normal Rotten Tomatoes. I'm gonna look that up real quick.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Justice League. Okay, here we go. The Rotten Tomatoes score for the Whedon cut is 40%, and the audience score is 71. Okay. All right. Now, let's look at the score for the Snyder Cut. 75% critic, 97% fan.
That's really good.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
that's really good.
Obviously, you have some critics who are trying to be like intellectually people. There's someone that said, there's someone that legit said it's not any different from the Whedon cut. And I'm like, what? Did you not see that?
Yeah.
It's hardly an ounce
he was like,
different.
That critic said not impressed.
Well, yeah, but so anyway, yeah, not impressed. That's good. That's gonna be our new thing. So anyway, but yeah, because it's like I guarantee you Warner Brothers is looking at this and it's like, this is popular. Just do it. Tell Snyder, if you want, we'll let you do part 2 and part 3. Because he said he didn't outright say he does not want to do these movies. He said it's likely not going to happen because of Warner Brothers, but he said anything could happen. Because remember, even he said himself, 1 year ago, we did not know this was coming.
Right. Yeah. There was absolutely. I mean, I said there was never going to happen. It's insane.
Yeah,
why would they ever go back and do it? It just seemed ridiculous.
Why would they do this?
Right. But they did, and we watched it, and it was good. Yeah.
I remember that announcement. I was like, wait, yeah. When I saw the announcement on Facebook that's coming out, I was like, this has to be some type of prank. The first thing I checked is this April Fool's? And then I was like, and then there's still more. Then when the actual news, like comic book news channel starts saying the Snyder Cut is coming out, I'm like, wait, what?
Right, I know that's crazy.
Vlad and I did not think the Snyder Cut was ever gonna come out.
Yeah,
ever.
And then we just had to settle for the Whedon, whatever,
When I see this, last night when I finished watching the Snyder Cut, I legit said, don't Warner, don't ever do that again. Don't ever do the Snyder. Let me put it this way: what you did to this movie, don't ever do it again. And what I mean by that, I have to clarify this. What I mean is, don't take all the cool stuff out and leave in a bunch of BS. Because once again, a lot and I were saying this from the trailers. Even it looked like a completely different movie.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't
Yeah,
just
exactly.
him putting in like deleted scenes or anything like that. No.
You know, the whole it was very different. Like all the fight scenes, the way that the different angles and cuts were, the music, the visual, like the colors and saturation, the the way they set up characters. I feel like you could really put a new person into this movie and just basically just tell them, explain just the beginning part, to say, oh, Superman died fighting a giant monster, and Batman
Yeah.
and Wonder Woman have to now try to find a way to save the world. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's the only explanation you would really need. I mean, they show it visually, but a new person get into this and find all this cool lore about the anti-life equation, dark side, Steppenwolf, the rest of the heroes. Really, really good. Justice League, the original one. I don't think it would make sense if you just kind of walked in there.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. It's like, remember, this has got me thinking, if they had not screwed up the original cut of Justice League, would it have still gotten this great critic score? What I mean is that would this have been like the first hit after Wonder Woman, and then that they would not have like screwed around with it and created all these different tonally movies?
I see. Yeah, that's a good question, right?
Yeah. Because ultimately, remember, the bad reception of the original Justice League is why they went in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
But once again, I'm still like, I still can't believe I watched the Snyder Cut last night.
I know, right?
Oh,
That was crazy. Yeah.
As a DC fan, that was the most DC movie ever. And they basically did a rough version of Justice League Origin from the New 52. Except there wasn't a dark side invading. It was
I know, yeah. I mean, it did feel. I like that.
All right, so as you were saying, lad,
that was good.
As you were saying, lad,
I just said, I just said that was good.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And so let's see what else. Anything else you want to say about the Snyder Cut before we end this one? Wonder how long we've been doing this one for. Okay, so we started about 8, so hour and a half. So what do you think?
There we go.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. No, that was just really, really good altogether.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate this?
Huh. Ooh, the number scale.
I'm going 10. I'm honestly going 10.
I mean, it was. I mean, the thing is, I can't say anything like bad about it. I feel like it kind of hit everything I wanted to. I mean, it's at least a 9, maybe a 9.5. I don't know. Maybe there's something else I might have wanted in it also, but a 9, not above a 9. I'll say that.
But I will say this. Another thing I want to say about the Snyder Cut: it perfectly balanced humor and darkness.
Mm-hmm.
I know it kept the essential DC tone.
Sometimes.
Whatever. That's just lad. Now let's do one more thing before we load off. Okay, so where does this movie rank with the first Avengers movie?
Oh, right. Yeah, I mentioned
Avengers 1,
right?
Not Endgame, Avengers 1, because remember,
right.
This is technically, I know this is a bad analogy given the circumstances, the first Avengers DC movie.
Yeah, right. That's tough.
See, here's the thing. I like it more, and not because I'm a DC fan, but because the other one had really inappropriate humor. Honestly, when there's too much Joss Whedon in a movie, it's distracting.
Yeah.
Too many promiscuous shots of Black Widow. I'm just like, oh, come on, bro.
Oh yeah, forgot about that. No, I think that this. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it more, people know I'm a very much of a Marvel fanatic, and I probably like Marvel more than DC. But
you flipped.
I actually, without Jared's prodding, I do have to say that this Justice League is better than the original Avengers, and here's why. and I'm gonna, this is a link to like a 10-minute video with like 5 ad rolls in it or something like that, right?
Go
But go
ahead.
why I think it's the case is because it just really balances the character development, overall story, and lore just so well. The original Avengers movie at the time was great. It was, really fantastic, but I think this Justice League does everything really a lot better, developing the characters just in this film, because Avengers already relied on the fact that most of the characters were pre-developed, and the overall plot of Avengers, if you kind of look back at it, it was a bit like, they're just having space aliens invade and they gotta stop the portally thingy. This was a little bit different sometimes, and there was a lot more lore built into it with Darkseid. I mean, it basically, like, if Thanos had showed up in the first Avengers movie, but they didn't do that. It was just Loki. So I think for those reasons, this is definitely better. But I will say that at the time, the Avengers movie was the best ever, and I think it definitely gets an award for being, that first ever, like, team up superhero film. It was unprecedented. It changed movies forever, like having such a large roster of, actors that were really, famous and big, and just what it did to the rest of the MCU and how it affected DC. I think it cannot be understated how good Avengers was when it came out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I think, I was just going off of it because they're analogous. Now, what does this rank to Avengers 2?
I mean, that's easy. Avengers
2 was terrible. Avengers 2, it wasn't terrible, but it was, for an Avengers movie, it was terrible. For a Marvel movie, it was okay, but I have high standards for team up movies.
Yeah.
And then, all right, so what about Avengers 3?
Okay, Infinity War is like the best movie ever, in my opinion. I think it was better than Endgame by a little bit. So
really?
I feel like Infinity War is still better than Justice League, and I feel like Endgame is also better than Justice League. At the time, right now at least, I think a sequel to Justice League, if they do like the post-apocalyptic world and everything like that, that could really push the scales quite a bit. And if they introduce more heroes during all that post-apocalyptic or versus the Legion of Doom or whatever they do, that could really push things, because they never really did like the whole, like, Thanos did destroy everything, but then it was just pretty casual after that, So,
By the way, lad, so I'm sharing my screen, and so this is a scene of Lois Lane getting coffee, and look who's over here in a cameo.
Hey, Zack Snyder.
He always cameos in his movies.
That's good. That's
so I'm
good
like,
stuff.
oh, okay. I just saw everyone posting about that. I was like, oh, okay.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you gotta do it.
I will say, who was great in this movie is Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he definitely he showed more like character development from like BVS to this, because remember, in this one he's a little more hopeful because he's inspired by Superman.
Yeah, I did like that a lot. I mean, I know in the original one he was talking about, we gotta form the team and we gotta, like, I owe it. He felt like super guilty and all that. I like how in this they didn't make it so whiny about the guilty part, but they still mentioned it. But he was also really saw that Batman development of, like, like faith. I'm going on faith, Alfred. I'm relying on my team to help me. And all that. I felt like that he had a good arc. Where he wasn't just so dark and broody. Like, he was trusting people. I think it's kind of something you almost missed that because everything else was so good.
And I liked how with Wonder Woman, because in the original Wonder Woman movie, they made her out like a woman who's obsessed over her dead boyfriend. Because remember, they had a fight in that movie about Steve Trevor. In this one, not mentioned once, except for that scene where she shows up in the transport and goes, I once knew a man who would love to fly it. And I lost someone I loved once. That's it.
Yeah, I like that a lot more because... Yeah, I think it didn't really, it kind of made me confused because I know in BVS she hadn't, they kind of mentioned that she hadn't been one woman, she'd been in hiding, right? and the idea that she was not around, and then Justice League also played up more of like, well, why weren't you out there fighting publicly and everything like that? And that kind of just made me confused of like when Wonder Woman came out, that was good, and then I was like, yeah, well, why wasn't she out there fighting and everything like that? And Justice League made it more confusing. I like how they just didn't touch the subject as much, so they were more free, like to show in 1984, like, oh yeah, she did things publicly, with a little bit of secrecy, and just not put that weird constraint there where she isn't allowed to do anything really public before the current day.
I think the way they explained it is that she was helping like covertly, like she wasn't out there like Superman.
Yeah.
I think that's the way they explain it. They explained that line 100 years ago. I walked away from humanity. And then so I felt Flash and Cyborg, I think, got the most character development, particularly Cyborg. But I liked how you saw how another thing that was in Snyder's cut, not Whedon's, the 4 arms.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was great. But yeah,
General Kenobi.
You are a bold one. That's a Grievous cough. It's not a COVID cough. So, Lad, what'd you think of Cyborg in this one as compared to the last one? You kind of touched on it in the beginning of this episode.
Man, Cyborg had the most benefit from this cut of the film. I felt like he was basically just a robot C-3PO assistant in the first film, like barely in development.
Yeah, he kind of was.
But now this was more about human Victor Stone. What happened to him, his motivations, his struggle with his father, all the stuff that's going on here, his cool fight scenes, his humanity versus like the machine part. So good. It was really good stuff. I actually really want a Cyborg movie now or something. Or
Me too. I think that'd be cool.
With, team up with someone else.
I mean, I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding the actor who plays Cyborg, but I'd still like to see more with him. So what's interesting, by the way, so on a side tangent, I wanted to bring this up because I just saw this. So apparently, here's the explanation for the Martha scene in BVS. Because when Superman said you're letting him kill Martha, Batman saw that he had become Joe Chill.
Oh, okay. I like that.
This is an explanation I heard. Like he was the one in the position to kill someone for really not good reasons.
What about that 1% chance that Superman turned evil?
There's only a 1% chance that this guy turned evil. Take it as an absolute certainty.
Actually, technically, was he wrong? I mean, we see all the nightmares.
But yeah, I guess that's true. But he couldn't know that.
He destroyed the womb.
Well, Barry Allen wasn't very clear when he went back in time.
Oh man,
it's just like she's the key. They even referenced that in
that was really good.
Too.
That was really good because I remember they had in BVS. BVS sometimes felt like it was a little too bloated sometimes.
A little bit, particularly the Ultimate Edition.
But that scene kind of was confusing, and then it was never mentioned again. And I was kind of like, okay, weird Batman dream. But then the fact that he talked about it a little bit there and referenced it, really good. It makes me think they're gonna, with the nightmares and that Flash time travel stuff, they're really teasing the fans that hey, they have some cool plans going forward. If the fans get hyped up about it, this could potentially happen. I mean, how can they not do it now after all that?
Yeah, hype? I know. What the League is doing in that nightmare sequence you got in Justice League, this one, is that they're going to, a location where they can send Barry back in time to warn Bruce, save Lois.
So what do you think? What do you think that location is? I saw a few people online saying different theories. Where are they trying to go?
Where they were going? Okay, so we know they're not going to the Hall of Justice because that's rubble.
Yeah, that's true.
I would say a possible location is Star Labs. But let me see. They're not going. I guarantee you, they're not going to the Batcave because that's the first place Superman would know to go and find them.
Yeah.
Because remember, Superman is hunting them. Mhm.
That
Yeah,
cave well
well,
hidden.
he does have other bat caves.
I
I'm
guess.
just thinking Star Labs is really the only place that I can think of that would have the technology to possibly attempt this.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Maybe they're going to, they could be going to the crashed Kryptonian ship, but the last time I checked, it didn't have any technology that could send them back in time.
well, maybe they're just going to be using the Flash time travel, kind of just run around and stuff, you know?
I know he could, but I mean, it could be that, but let me put it this way: why didn't they do that? Why do they need another location?
Maybe he's like weakened or needs to gain more energy to go back that fast.
Could be.
In
He
time.
is in
Yeah,
that
that's a good
suit.
point.
He is in that suit.
He is. Yeah, that suit looked really cool. I like that.
By the way, what's interesting is that
why do they need?
I'm sorry. Go
Go
ahead.
Okay, my question for you is why do they need the Joker? Why does Batman need the Joker alive? What information does Joker have?
For right now, I think it's just more of a all the help we can get thing. Because that's why he has Deathstroke and Mara.
I see. But can the Joker even do anything? I mean, he shoots guns, but I mean, he's kind of like whatever, right? I feel like he knows
the Joker is the
something.
master of chaos. And
I
remember,
guess.
right now, they're the ones who cause chaos.
I feel like in that scene there with Superman showing up, someone is gonna die. If they continue, they may, like, if they do in the movie, have, you know, well, this was just one of the possible futures, and they're gonna set up the whole apocalypse a little bit differently with a few different heroes and villains. But if they actually continue that specific scene, I think someone's gonna die there. You know, I don't know, maybe
I think it's gonna be
One of them's
Cyborg.
gonna die.
I think it's gonna be Cyborg.
Cyborg probably. One of them will die there, and I think it would be really cool. My headcanon is, you know, it seemed like Joker's the weakest one there. He literally has nothing, but I think he will actually have, like, I don't know, secretly have like kryptonite gas that looks like, you know, just like spray paint, like his crazy color schemes he has, and weaken Superman enough for them to get out of there. I feel like it could be like kind of like funny or weird, some weird Joker moment where he helps out there.
Here's the way I think it's going to go down. Here's my headcanon. So Superman shows up and Cyborg is killed. Either actually no, Mara's killed because she seems the more headstrong and bloodthirsty for Superman, so she'd be the one to attack first. And I think Superman would kill her, and then probably kill Cyborg, and then maybe Deathstroke.
You're legally required to keep at least one female character on a team.
No, I'm not. Wonder Woman's dead in this timeline.
Yeah, but then Mara's on the team. If they get rid of it, then they get sued by, like, you know, equal rights and stuff like that.
No,
they
they're not.
Always have to have you have to have
she goes out like a warrior. She goes out like a warrior.
All right, that's fair enough.
So she dies. Deathstroke dies. I think at that point, the Joker causes a distraction. It could be like what you're saying for them to escape, and then Superman punches a hole in Joker's chest like an Injustice. It's like a nice homage to Injustice, where Superman was the dictator there. And then we get the nightmare scene from BVS after this one, because remember, Batman dies apparently in that one. And then as that's going in, that's when wait. Cyborg can't die, because in the original plans, I think I read that Cyborg is going to be one of the people to help send Barry to the past. So let's assume that Mara and Deathstroke die.
Okay, that's fair.
You know, for the three of them to escape, Batman, like in the background, because he's Batman, has been trying to get kryptonite. By the way, here's why I don't think the whole thing about Joker having kryptonite is there. Because remember, so this is taking place in the same continuity as BVS. And in that nightmare sequence, Batman was going to get kryptonite. If Joker had it, why would they be going after it? It could be they ran out of it, or it didn't work.
Yeah, or it could be like a separate, you know, alternate, you know, possible nightmare future. But I see what you're saying. Yeah,
could be. It's unlikely in this case, but what I think is, and this, so Batman like goes on his own, and then we have the nightmare scene from BVS where Superman kills him, and then as that nightmare scene is going on, Flash is going back in time. And then we know he's going back to two spots. One is BVS, because remember, he said, "I'm too soon." And then the next one is going to be before the League goes to fight Darkseid in the final battle, and he tells Batman, "Protect Lois Lane."
Yeah.
Protect Lois Lane. She's the key. That's it.
Mhm.
Protect Lois Lane.
It's
Lad made me
Lois Lane.
rewind. Lad made me rewind the movie because he thought Batman said Lois Lane. I was like, "There's no
Listen-
way that Snyder would make that mistake."
Every time I say her name, I say Lois Lane. I don't say, but I don't say that strong, like Lex Luthor. I just say Lois Lane. I kind of skip over.
No,
but it's a
you
bit more of a
say
Louis.
Lois Lane. You say Lois Lane.
I say Lois Lane. You know, like it sounds okay to me. I'm not Lewis, but I'm saying Lois. But I for some reason I pronounce it like that. But yeah, it's
so
Lois
good.
Lane.
All right.
But I feel like
By the
Lois Lane.
One of my predictions about the nightmare scene was right. Wonder Woman and Aquaman are dead. Because remember, you see Wonder Woman in the funeral pyre, and you see Mera say that Aquaman's dead.
Yep. Yeah, and we saw that also with Steppenwolf taking him out.
Yeah. I love where Darkseid just stabs through Aquaman, and he's like Omega beaming people.
Yep.
The Omega beams underwater, mind you. That was so cool.
That was good.
So let's see what else could we talk about for this. So apparently so here's the way the Legion of Doom thing is going to work out apparently. So in the plans that Snyder like drew up in his original plan, so 2 is going to be Legion of Doom, and they were going to kill Wonder Woman in Justice League 2.
Oh, really?
Because the Legion is made up of Black Manta, Lex Luthor, Deathstroke, I think Deathstroke, the Riddler, and Dr. Poison. And apparently they kill Wonder Woman. Somehow, even though she was around in World War I, somehow they would bring her in.
I can't believe I remember that she was in that movie.
Yeah. And then Lex Luthor was going to get the anti-life equation for Darkseid.
You're a servant of Darkseid, Jared?
No. And then that's how we
just said it, guys.
No, and I think that's when Justice League 3 is the one that's supposed to be I think 3 is supposed to be primarily in the Nightmare timeline. And then because remember, 2 sets up the Nightmare, 3 probably explains it and resolves it. Because I agree with you, that was the most random part of BVS. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, that was really weird.
But I liked it. It looked really cool. It's a really neat idea. It's a really nice twist on Injustice. Because, well, first off, when I saw it for the first time and I saw the Omega symbol burned into the ground, I was like, okay, it's Darkseid. And then when I see the evil Superman, that's when I think, and then Snyder later confirmed this on Vero, he was like, anti-life equation. I was like, oh, okay.
Makes sense.
That's how this works. But so let's see, what else can we talk about? Where does this rank next to Endgame?
Dude, I said already.
Actually, wait. Where does the Superman scene with the whole "I'm not impressed" link to compared to the Avengers Assemble moment in Endgame?
Oh, when they say Avengers Assemble,
the whole portal scene and all that. Here's why I see
higher than.
I have a reason to say the Superman thing, because look at the significance of that scene in the Snyder Cut, because it's like the return of everything that was taken from us, kind of like the Endgame scene.
That's true.
And then it's just Superman's just standing there, kind of like where Thanos tried to headbutt Captain Marvel, and then she just stood there like, did you really just do that?
Yeah.
And I love how Superman is just standing there as the axe comes down and just hits him. He's like, is that the best you can do? That's what he said. I'm not impressed.
Yeah.
It's, by the way, of all the lines for Superman to say when that happens, I was like, oh, that is the greatest. And legit, Lyle and I watched that scene like twice. We were immediately like, rewind that.
That was so good. That was great.
Yeah. But anyway, I think at least Lyle and I can agree that this is probably the best DC movie they've ever done.
Yeah, definitely.
This I think tops
hands
Wonder
down.
Woman 1
Mhm.
and
Ooh, that's a
Aquaman.
tough. I feel like I want to rewatch Wonder Woman, Aquaman, because those are Wonder Woman, and Aquaman are really high up there. I need to watch Man of Steel again. It's been a while since I watched anything in DC, to be honest.
Tell you what we'll do for fun for the show, because Lad and I are approaching our summer vacation. It starts next month. We get let out early because we weren't given a spring break because our school is really annoying. But anyway, what we'll do is we'll do a series of episodes where we watch all of the DCEU movies one after the other, except Birds of Prey, and talk about them.
Wow! Oh man!
I am not watching Birds of Prey again.
Dude, you had to go there. Yeah, that's
Nope.
fair.
I love how I put that in, except Birds of Prey. But yeah, so we'll do that, and then we'll do an episode talking about it. I think that'll be really fun to do that, and then we'll also at the end of it culminate in watching the Snyder. No, we'll watch Suicide Squad.
We'll watch Suicide Squad
because we have to explain Joker.
Okay, fine, but we're not gonna watch the original cut, are we?
Well, there's no other cut, I don't think.
No, the original cut of Justice League.
Oh, it's not. Oh no, that's dead. That is dead. Okay. When we get to Justice League, we're watching the Snyder Cut.
Okay, sweet. So we'll kind of go chronologically.
Look this way: we are never gonna, at least me, I'm never gonna watch that movie again unless to laugh.
Nice.
I'm never gonna seriously watch that in a watch party, because once again, as far as we are concerned, I believe it's last position too. The Snyder Cut is canon, according to us at least.
Yep. Yeah, that's
the conditions are set where we can consider
of the podcast.
Yeah,
the official position of
when Flashpoint establishes a new universe, it'll still be canon in the Snyderverse.
Yeah, and in the Whedon version, it'll be what we'll say that after that.
I got it.
The Whedon version.
The Whedon version is Bizarro's world.
Yeah, something like that. Like a Bizarro world, horrible, or that it becomes like even worse nightmare. Like literally the worst universe is like the Whedon cut.
No,
like in the
that's the nightmare, lad. That's the nightmare of Nightmare Batman.
Yeah, exactly. It's like literally everything goes wrong horribly. The whole world
it's like when Cyborg.
That's not happened.
It's like when Cyborg is interfacing with the Kryptonian ship. He's shown the vision. He basically watches the Whedonverse, and he's like, "Nope, delete."
Nope. Yeah.
No, it's seriously.
Flash goes back in time and changes it.
That's what the change. It's not. Would it be hilarious if in Flashpoint, because this is so successful, they rewrite it so the Snyder Cut is like their canon too?
Yeah.
Because as far as we know, according to Patty Jenkins, they consider the DC directors consider the Snyderverse canon. That's why it links so easily to these other movies. They ignored the Whedon movie.
It's canon. Well,
it's canon.
Since this movie does not directly contradict anything from the previous one, and just adds Martian Manhunter, Victor Stone's dad being, Silas Stone being dead, Darkseid looking for the anti-life equation, minor things like that. There's no reason they are interchangeable. We can basically say the Snyder Cut is the canon version, and other things will kind of reference towards that. Or it plays, if you want to watch them in order, you should just watch the Snyder Cut version. There's no reason to watch the Whedon version or consider it canon.
Yeah. Here's another thing. Is because remember, in the Whedon version, Stone's father lives, but we never see him after it, or see any reference to him in the subsequent movies. So once again, there's no reason to consider the Whedon verse canon short of what Warner Brothers says. And we all know what Warner Brothers says is not necessarily the best thing.
Right.
The right thing, really.
It'll be confirmed 100% when we get inevitably we get Justice League 2. We'll know for sure, are they linking it to the Whedon type, or are they going to link it to the Snyder Cut? And I think it's going to be the Snyder Cut. I mean, why on earth would they go back to the previous one that has lower scores and everything?
I think what they're going to do, because I think that the original plan for Justice League Rebirth, the one that they announced like a couple of months ago, was going to make it be like a reboot, because it's taking place after Flashpoint.
They
But
they may just decide to do that.
I think they'll change their plans, or at the least they'll do is tell Snyder, just do the other two movies and we'll be done with it, and we'll say it's on an alternate world.
Yeah,
At least just do
like
that. Let me put it this way:
Mm-hmm.
I will be happy if they announce we're gonna give him part two and part three. At that point, I'm like, we're square.
It's gonna be more notorious than the Lord of the Rings trilogy in terms of runtime.
Now, let me put it this way, lad. Let me ask you a question before we sign off. So, in light of the fact that we got the Snyderverse, do you think there is a real possibility that they authorize part two and part three?
Man, that's a tough question. So, in my honest opinion, I'm a little bit concerned about what direction 2 and 3 would take. I know the original plans, and then there's the Nightmare stuff and the Legion of Doom. I feel like it's a bit confusing, and maybe they wouldn't actually end up doing it in the movie theater. But that said,
HBO Max.
the Snyder Cut would never happen. And the fact that
That's what I'm saying.
are so receptive to it, I feel like it's so inevitable that we get a Justice League 2 and 3 that actually continue this storyline because people enjoyed it. I think like there's definitely
and the critics enjoyed it.
And the critics liked it too, right? So I mean, everyone's happy, right?
Yeah, and there are some strong rumors that at least HBO Max is saying, let's do part two and part three and just put them on the streaming service.
Right. I mean, like,
because also, if it's in the streaming service, he can do a 4-hour movie and it not be that and not be like you're sitting in a movie theater for 4 hours.
Right, and you can make it R-rated because people don't really mind as much when you're going to the movie, streaming service, because you know what you're getting into when you go there. So
yeah, dude,
I think it's
100%.
I think it's a really good chance, especially the fact that the streaming service exists.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say
gives us more opportunity.
I was gonna say a lot of people before it was announced. A lot of people, as soon as they announced HBO Max, they were like, they could put it on HBO Max because they need content. Because let me put it this way, they're really competing. DC is with Disney Plus. Because remember, Disney Plus has pretty much the entire MCU except for the Hulk movies and the Spider-Man movies. But and like a lot of Marvel content, and they need DC stuff to bring in all the comic book fans to their side. So they looked at it exactly and they said, well, we have the Snyder Cut and people want that. So they authorized that. They authorized They authorized Zack Snyder to spend $75 million to finish this movie.
On top of the original budget, but go to Wikipedia. It's high. It's really high, the original budget, because they re-edited everything. They basically reshot the entire movie for Whedon.
Yeah. And by the way, another thing. They did all of the editing for the Snyder Cut in quarantine, and it still looks that good.
Really?
I'm like, well done, Snyder. Because remember, this was announced in the middle of quarantine, May of last year.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that. Well done, sir, under the circumstances. But yeah, I think there is a possibility that they're going to authorize part 2 and part 3 based on the reception it's getting. Now, granted, I think it'll take a couple of days, maybe a week or so, because remember, people are still watching the thing. They want to see if it brings a lot of traffic to HBO Max.
Yeah.
Based on the Snyder Cut, I can guarantee you that's probably going to happen.
Yeah. No,
based on the ratings.
I mean, like, like, just gotta ask, you said AT&T, right? Or Warner Brothers, whatever
one of them.
One of them, like, hey, do you like money?
There's already a hashtag. There's already a hashtag. Hashtag restore the Snyderverse. There's still a hashtag.
Yeah, I mean, look, Marvel knows exactly. Steal the hashtag. Marvel knows exactly what they're doing. They have a really good plan set up.
Not now. I honestly don't think they have a plan right now.
I'm gonna talk about that future episode topic because I just read the list of things they're doing, and it's a whole discussion topic we'll get into later.
Yeah, 100%.
Marvel's actually looking to really go bigger than they have before. They actually have 4 movies slated for this year and 4 for next year, not including.
We'll see. We saw what happened with Black Widow.
It got delayed because of the
COVID and everything. But I mean, Marvel was doing 3 movies a year, like, which is insane for a movie studio, right? I mean, I guess it's just Marvel, right? But now they're going to be doing 4 a year. Like, that's insane. And TV shows, high budget TV shows. Marvel's, you know, everyone kind of slept. Everyone was asleep last year because of COVID, but Marvel's looking to do some crazy stuff. DC needs to be ready to compete. And now they have on their streaming service all this DC animated TV shows, animated movies, all the content, basically like a home for DC stuff. They need to be ready to fight against Marvel and Disney Plus with their huge budgets.
So I pulled up the audience score for Avengers Endgame. Justice League has a higher audience score.
Really?
The audience score for Endgame is actually, you guess. What do you think the audience score is for Endgame? Don't Google it.
92?
It's 90%.
90%. Interesting.
Now, the one for Justice League is 97.
I feel like that could be because people weren't happy with how it ended.
You mean with the Whedon cut?
No. I mean, like in the end game, it could be that people weren't happy, like just
could be
how they handled the time travel stuff.
Of course, the critics gave it a 94. Well, they'll slap a certified fresh on anything that has Marvel on it, because the company that kind of well, guess what? The company that runs Rotten Tomatoes, guess who one of their owners is? Disney. So conflict of interest.
I bet Warner Brothers in Rotten Tomatoes.
No, I don't think so. No.
I thought it was something like that.
No. Oh, let me put it this way. I never trusted Rotten Tomatoes. I was just going there to see if people liked the Snyder Cut, but it was like, wow.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. Compared to the original, it got like a 40 something. I'll take a 75. Actually, it's a 74 now, but still, because remember, more critics ratings are coming in.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. As long as it stays above 50%, I'll be happy. Remember, we don't care what the critics really think, because I get the feeling that, remember, the critics weren't the ones calling for the Snyder Cut to be released. It was the audience.
We forced the critics to watch through the Justice League movie a second time.
Yeah, let me put it this way. Make them watch the Whedon Cut and then see what they rate this thing as.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. Ignore the critic score, because when HBO Max sees that 97% audience, you know what that shows them? 97% money.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. The audience is who's watching on your streaming service.
Right. And the streaming service is like, they are directly going and paying, a monthly fee. And then, they get, it's not just like a one-time thing. They start noticing the other DC content there. They get hooked on for a couple more months. And then they say, oh, we're getting a Justice League 2 coming soon. Hey, I'm going to stick around. That's even better than a movie theater ticket, Like,
yeah,
they're getting them attached to a streaming service, monthly payments. Dude.
I mean, a lot knows when we watched Justice League, we watched it in my home theater because I have like surround sounds, a giant ass TV. We just we basically watched it in style. I basically gave Lad a free movie ticket. We even ate beforehand, so it's like we got snacks beforehand.
And
let's be honest, we would have. And I got a dope hoodie for the movie.
You're sending the bill to my house.
Yeah, and I even got a hoodie. So in a way, I got a T-shirt like I normally do.
There you go. Right. Yeah, no. Jared has a really great movie theater, a home theater setup. So I always appreciate being invited over.
I was like, it can make any movie bad. Good. Let me put it this way. Tyler has been on the show before. I showed him Captain Marvel in that movie theater, and he goes, "This movie theater is great. Too bad the movie's not good."
Oh boy.
By the way, apparently what's coming out is a half-hour documentary that's the making of the Snyder Cut.
Man, I feel like the behind-the-scenes could be like hours long of like all the problems.
No, it's going to be a half hour.
Okay, got it.
But yeah, I'll look for it. But it's kind of funny. When I went into the to HBO Max to pull up the movie, I went to the J's for Justice League, but all that's is there is the Whedon cut. So I'm like, wait, what happened? I thought the Snyder Cut's coming out. Then I remembered the title is Zack Snyder's Justice League. So I go to the Z's and it's all the way there.
I just found out something today that for the long, we've been DC extended universe for all their, these movies, kind of like the MCU. But that name was never official. It was thrown around by a couple high up executives, mentioned once or twice. The Worlds of DC was also mentioned, but it's never been official. Fans have just called it that. But when HBO Max started, and now I guess with other DC films being added there, and also now the Snyder Cut, it's officially titled DC Extended Universe on the HBO Max app. I'm not sure if you can see it through there, if you can actually find that title, but I read on Wikipedia that they officially list these movies as DC Extended Universe, making it an official title to this shared universe.
That's great. I mean, that's what I called it, because why wouldn't you?
Right. So I think that was kind of cool. I mean, because I remember that it was always like, it's kind of iffy if it's official or not.
I love this Instagram post. So the critics score for the movie's out, but who the hell cares? It's not for the critics. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. It's not for them.
Is for people who
did the critics critics convince the movie to be released?
Yeah, no, this is for the fans, people that want to see this movie. I mean, this is for the fans. This is a love letter to the fans.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that as a further love letter to the fans, Warner Brothers, just because, let me put it this way, they need content for HBO Max.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you need content, Zack Snyder's got 2 full movies, and he's proven that Justice League his version of Justice League is popular.
That's right.
So we'll see what happens. I think there is a good possibility that we do get the whole thing. But by the way, so it's kind of funny is that most fans, so they released a poll. What are fans the most excited for, the Snyder Cut or Falcon and Winter Soldier? What do you think the breakdown was?
Okay, that's not a fair comparison. Rating B-level heroes versus Justice League.
Well, it's Marvel.
Okay, fine.
64% said Snyder Cut, 36% said Falcon Winter Soldier.
Hey, I think that's a pretty good victory for the Winter
It's good,
Soldier.
but yeah, that's not really a fair comparison because we're talking about the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
Compared to something we knew was coming out.
But it's still cool to see a Justice League victory.
I mean, by the way, I just want to show people how awesome Steppenwolf looked in the movie. That's him.
Oh, nice. Yeah, yep.
He looked amazing. And then I guarantee you people are going to start saying, we want a Man of Steel 2.
Please, I like the first.
I want that. I want that.
I feel like they could, they can do the regular superhero saving stuff, but if they want a cool movie idea, listen to me, guys, executives here, no one's listening, okay? But the whole thing where I remember Superman has the genetic code of all the Kryptonians in his blood. Can we play up something with that where he can actually, rebirth Krypton or something?
No. What if he's trying to like figure out ways to like repopulate Krypton like that?
Yeah.
So he extracts DNA, and then that DNA starts to grow, and that's how he gets Supergirl.
Something like that. Exactly.
I mean, it kind of sounds kind of cheesy, but that could be a good way to introduce Supergirl. But by the way, so again, Director Zack Snyder has addressed the possibility of him returning for a Snyder Cut sequel. Never say never.
Yep.
Well, in his defense, people were saying never to the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, I guess you really can never say never. I mean,
by the way,
Justice League Snyder Cut.
Yeah, the Green Lantern's name is Yalen Gur.
Yalen Gur. Nice.
Yeah, that's him.
Monkey McMonkey face.
I like how with the Green Lantern, the lantern part is kind of also like floating in front of his chest.
Mm-hmm.
They played around with that in the comics originally. I liked how we finally got an explanation as to what the hell the Unity was, because that was like they did not explain that in the Whedon cut at all.
That made no sense. The whole mother thing just made things.
That's why. Oh, by the way, the actor who plays Homelander in The Boys goes Snyder Cut is superior. Like, thank you. Even The Boys gets it.
That's funny.
Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's been an announcement as to whether or not the Snyder Cut can get a sequel. Trying to see.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be a couple days so people can watch it.
I think it'll be at least a week.
Sit down for 4 hours.
I think it'll be at least a week when there's till there's another announcement for the Snyder Cut. I do know that Flash, I think, is supposed to start filming this like in summer.
You think so?
I think that was confirmed.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, so Lod was really going crazy watching the Snyder Cut because there's this scene where Bruce Wayne and Diana Prince are on the computer and then their hands brush as they're going on the mouse, and I'm like, that's an honest mistake.
No, it was not, and I didn't bring it up because I kind of forgot about it, but it's gonna be a future discussion topic where we address the fact that Batman and Wonder Woman is a
We'll have a debate. We'll have a debate.
Universe, it is a thing.
Not the new 52.
In the Whedon version and in the Snyder Cut version, they felt the need to leave that in for a reason, guys. So I think we're gonna have to address this fact.
Well, they didn't leave it in. Remember that. Well, here's what they did take out. That was clearly Whedon. The scene where she has on like a toga cape thing, and then Bruce Wayne and her share a glass of wine. Yeah. Not that. That's out.
I didn't, I know I play that up as romantic, but I mean, if I watch the scene again, it really wasn't too romantic. There was kind of more just like hanging out and being sophisticated.
No, it was clearly meant to be a romantic. He's even like, "I'll make a bat suit for you."
I mean, Batman makes a lot of bat suits, people.
No, he doesn't.
Like, Batman should really have. I want to see like bat version suits for all the league, like a bat Flash suit, like it's all black with like ears.
Or that's just Red Death from Death Metal.
I guess so.
Like,
Wonder Woman.
That's literally what that is.
Black, what's it called?
Yeah. By the way, look what's trending right now on Twitter. Restore the Snyderverse.
Restore the Snyderverse. Hey.
Please do. That will be in the description of this episode, and I will tag Joss Whedon in anything I'm capable of tagging Joss Whedon in just to screw with him.
Oh boy.
You know what? He ruined Justice League, and Zack Snyder freaking saved it. He saved it.
Yep.
He gets no sympathy from me for a lot of different reasons beyond the point of the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
Let me see. It also, so there was a place called Book My Stream. It's another place where like people can go to stream it if you don't have HBO Max. And then apparently they got the most reservations to watch the Snyder Cut in the website's history.
Wow.
It was like, yo, people want to watch this. Give us a part 2 and part 3. Warner Brothers. All right. Hope you guys. All right, so we're gonna call it a night. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Under Two Capes. This was very important that we specifically do an episode on the Snyder Cut for besides the obvious reasons of doing an episode on the Snyder Cut, because the Snyder Cut announcement is what partly gave me the inspiration to start this podcast. Because Lad and I were talking about this when it was announced over FaceTime, and I was like, "This is what I should do for a podcast."
Yeah.
So anyway. Thank you, Zack Snyder, for my podcast. All right. Anyway, hope you guys have a good weekend. Stay heroic, and remember, restore the Snyderverse.
Yep.